Our first image is coming from New York, and this is the picture that we're going to be focusing on. So the way that we build vocabulary is very practical. We do it by naming and describing the things around us. So let's have a go with this first picture. One of the most obvious things that comes to mind when looking at this picture is that it's a city. And the word for city in Spanish is ciudad. Literally sounds like that, ciudad. So we have three syllables. We have ci, u, dad. And this word is ending in a consonant. So I can tell you that it's classified as a feminine word. So the city would be la ciudad, or una ciudad, a city. To create a pathway back to the memory, just imagine yourself on the sidewalk saying ciudad, and it will help you to remember the word. The next thing that comes to mind is that we have a street here, a wide street, and the word for street in Spanish is calle. So the pronunciation is just two syllables, calle. So we have ca here, and this double L creates a Y. So with the E, yeah. Calle is street, the word for street, calle. And it's a feminine word, so the street would be la calle. So far we have two feminine words associated with city. We have la ciudad for the city and la calle for the street. If there's one thing New York has a lot of, it's buildings. And the word for that is edificios. Here we have it in plural. So we have edificios, ending in the S. If we just wanted to say building, then it would be like that, edificio. But buildings, we just add the S for the plural, edificios. To help you remember this word, what you can imagine or visualize is Eddie doing physio, like physiotherapy in an office building. So we have Eddie for Eddie, and then physio kind of sounds like physiotherapy. So if you visualize Eddie doing physiotherapy in an office building, just close your eyes and visualize that for a minute or so. It will help to create a pathway back to the word for buildings, edificio, and of course that we know to make the plural, we just add S, so it would be edificios. Next up, we have the word for people, and that's an easy word in Spanish. It's gente. Gente. This GE has like a H sound, gente. So gente is people in Spanish, and it's a feminine word, so the people would be la gente. Notice that in English, the English spelling or pronunciation looks like gent, so you can imagine a lot of gents in the street and can help to lead you back to the memory of gente for people. The next word that comes to mind is traffic, and certainly a lot of that in New York as well. This is a word we came across in level 1 when we were going through our cognates. So traffic would be tráfico. Notice that we have an accent over the A, so would it be tráfico, but here we stress the A, so tráfico up the front. And it's ending in O, so it's going to be masculine word. So the traffic would be el tráfico. Next up, we have taxis. And this is probably the easiest word to remember of all because it's exactly the same in Spanish. Taxis is taxis. You have just a slight difference in the pronunciation. Taxis, they would say it like that. So taxis would also be a masculine word. So it would be los taxis for the taxis, or el taxi for the taxi. Another prominent feature of this image is the sidewalk. So to say sidewalk in Spanish would be acera. So what we can do is visualize acera, like the name Sarah, walking on the sidewalk. Just two syllables, acera. Acera is the sidewalk. It's a feminine word because it's ending in A. So visualize Sarah or acera walking on the sidewalk as a pathway back to the memory of that word, acera. The word for sky is a very pretty word in Spanish. It's cielo. So we have cielo. cielo. To help remember it, to create the pathway back, you could visualize yourself looking up into the sky and seeing a halo. So we have C and halo there. It's to give you clues back to the word for sky, cielo. Notice where it's ending in O, so it must be masculine word. The sky would be el cielo. On the left of the picture, we can see trees. And the word for trees is árboles. There's a few things to notice here. First of all, we have an accent right at the front of the word. So you wouldn't say árboles where you're stressing this part, or árboles where you're stressing the end, but árboles. The push comes at the front of the word where the accent is, árboles. Also, it's ending in a consonant, right? It's ending in L. So to say tree would be like that, árbol. And it's a masculine word classified as masculine. So the tree would be el árbol or a tree, un árbol. But we don't see a tree in the picture. We see plural, we see trees. So if you remember the lesson from plurals before, we add on an ES to get the plural because this is ending in a consonant. So trees would be árboles. And because it's masculine, it would be los árboles, the trees. Right in front of us and all the way down, we can see a series of traffic lights. And this is not the easiest word in Spanish to remember. It would be semáforos, semáforos. So the accent is important in the middle of the word for the correct pronunciation, semáforos. So we have sem, a, foros. Semáforos is traffic lights. And it's ending in O here. You can see the S has been added for the plural, so it's a masculine word. So the traffic lights would be los semáforos. Smack in the middle of the picture, we can see people crossing a zebra crossing or pedestrian crossing. So the word for that in Spanish is paso de peatones. So we're going to need something definitely to help us recall this. So what I was thinking is that you pay a ton to cross the road. You're visualizing that it costs a lot of money. You pay a ton of money to cross the road. So I'm really focusing on this word here. If we look at it, it's peatones. So as a link back to that, I'm thinking pay a ton. So you pay a ton to cross the road, peatones. Here we have paso, which is easy, paso de, and then pedestrians is actually peatones. So pedestrian pathway in Spanish. They describe it in that way. So zebra crossing or pedestrian crossing would be paso de peatones. And we pay a ton, peatones, to cross the road. To say the zebra crossing or a zebra crossing, it would be just el at the front of that. So el paso de peatones would be the zebra crossing or the pedestrian crossing. There are a lot of buildings in this image and also a lot of windows. The word for windows is ventanas. So what you can do is visualize Ben eating sultanas in the window. Gives you that link back. So we have Ben at the front and tanas reminds me of sultanas. So Ben eating sultanas leaning against the window. If you visualize that for 30, 60 seconds, can help create a pathway back to ventanas. Here we have a feminine word that's plural, right? Because ventana would be window. So la ventana, the window. But here in this image, we're seeing plural, a lot of windows. So we simply add the S and we get ventanas. The windows will be las ventanas. Now that we have some vocabulary with this image, it's very important that you're able to access that vocabulary in the future. So this is why we try and create pathways back to where the memory is stored. What you do is close your eyes and visualize as vividly as you can the little clue or the pathway that I've given you for some of these words. Also, you can feel free to change them and to make your own pathways, or where I haven't given you a pathway because it didn't occur to me immediately at the time, you can try to create your own. So what you're doing is making a series of clues or pathways that can help you remember the word. When it comes time to remember the word, so you're saying, well, okay, well, there's a pedestrian crossing. How did I say, or how do you say pedestrian crossing in Spanish? You don't try and remember the word, you try and remember what it is that you visualized, the little image, this little story that you associated with that word. So what I remember is, okay, well, you pay a ton to cross the road. And so it gives me a clue back to peatón, peatones. And that is often all you need. Just that little tiny clue is enough to lead you back to the memory. So this is how you can remember words not only 5 minutes from now, but a week from now, a month from now, so forth. It's a way to find the word again where it's stored in your memory. And you only need to do it a few times. Once you locate it a few times, trying it that way, you'll find that your brain gives it to you instantly from there on. Let's review the vocabulary for this lesson. Remember to pause the video so that you can give yourself time to remember your pathway back to the word if you created one. First of all, how would you say city? Ciudad. And it's a feminine word, so it would be la ciudad. Street. Calle. Again, feminine word, la calle. Buildings. Edificios. Or if it was single, it would be edificio. People. Gente. We have la gente for the people. Traffic. Tráfico. Taxis. Taxis. Sidewalk. Acera. Sky. Cielo. Trees. Árboles. If we wanted to say tree, remember, it would be árbol, but plural, árboles. Masculine word, so los árboles. Traffic lights. Semáforos. Zebra crossing. Paso de peatones. Windows. Ventanas.